Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Nick Hilaire Show. Who makes the determination that it's contaminated, and then what happens to it? Does it just go to the landfill? Like, do you know exactly how that process plays out?
Yes. So recycling is actually, I mean, recycling does work. People do they actually recycle paper and plastic and glass and metal and all of that. Um, but since the single stream recycling was lobbied for and implemented, actually the amount of the percentage of recycling that ends up in the landfill is actually higher and higher by quite a lot. There's some arguments made that it was actually the landfill companies who now actually are in the recycling business who have actually lobbied for the single stream recycling because it actually gives them more business on the landfill side of things. And we have to remember that that recycling is actually very price sensitive. Like if someone is selling recycled paper or recycled plastic, they have to compete with the price of virgin plastic or paper, right? So it's very, very price sensitive. So sometimes recycling makes money, and sometimes it doesn't. And when it doesn't, then you just get this big stockpile of plastic or paper, right? So the less sorting that the people who actually recycle paper or plastic, the less sorting they have to do, the better their margins, the more competitive that their material can be.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So, what were they doing before, like before the single stream?
I believe they had different. You had to like put your brown bottles in one thing, clear
Got it.
bottles, green bottles, even glass, like three buckets, right? Paper had brown and white paper and newsprint and other types of paper. So it required more work up front. But if you just end up putting it in one bin, well, some minimal wage worker, most often a woman, has to be there sorting out that garbage, right? It has to be done by someone.
Right. I read just this morning. It's funny how timing works out. I'm just pulling it up on my phone because I want to get it right. But there was some update about a company. I think it might be Amazon, but let me just confirm. A company using AI to sort trash. Um, anyways, I don't have it handy, but anyways, I thought it was interesting. I saw it come across my screen this morning, and I'm not sure how they're doing it and how the AI is sorting the trash, but that could be, maybe that will help some of this.
Yeah, I've seen these prototypes for these smart garbage bins, right? And they're supposed to like separate out garbage, but it's kind of, I don't know. It's I think AI is a great thing to have, but how dumb do we have to be for us to need a smart garbage bin to say put plastic here and put glass here and put paper here, right? I mean, how dumb do we have to be to need a smart bin?
That's a fair point. Very fair point. Yeah, you mentioned the price sensitivity. I have a little bit of experience with this in the metals field. Like for a very brief period of time, I worked for a metals recycling company, and that was an industry that was fascinating because in that supply chain, because of the value of metal, almost nothing gets wasted. Like everything you could possibly think of that has metal in it would show up at our facilities, whether it's an old bicycle or whatever. Obviously there's easy examples like cans and stuff that people can recycle, but every single piece of metal got recycled. Even cars, like we had at one of our facilities, we had this giant shredder machine where you take a car basically and put it through this machine and it would just destroy it, rip it all to shreds, and then they would sort the metal by weight, but it all got reused. And it seems like there's other places where if you had that sorting done and there was a financial incentive for it, you could probably recycle almost anything that wasn't biodegradable, right?
Yes, and particularly like metal and glass in the recycling world, metal and glass can be recycled infinitely. Whereas paper and plastic, because of the fibers in them, they get shortened each time. And every time you recycle paper or plastic, it actually gets downcycled. You have to do a lower quality paper or plastic. Whereas metal and glass can be recycled endlessly. And that's interesting about the can that you showed because I was reading this a book as well, and it talked about how, in some less developed countries, they just look at us like, why are you drinking that sugary water and throwing away the can when the can's the more valuable part of it? Right.
Right. That's for sure. And this doesn't even have, like, this one in particular has no calories. It's just like soda water. Yeah. It's completely worthless, essentially. Yeah. Okay. So recycling is working, but maybe not as good as it used to. What about overseas?